So with any of this facial drawing, the one thing that we really want to make sure of, so this is very, very specific figure drawing, and the figure that we're focusing on right now is mostly just the drawing of this face, working on those shapes in a very, very specific way. So again, the same way that we would start a big gesture drawing with a human body is we want to start with sort of very big essential shapes first. So you can kind of see again, and this is more so for Yurong and Yuhan. Yurong, you've been making some good strides with it, which I really like seeing. It's just that sense of getting a little bit of that sort of sketched effect in. And I mean, you guys can see how I'm not really, I'm not sticking to any outside line here, but I'm still, because I'm sort of bouncing around, giving the effect of that line. So same thing with any sort of interior spots. Make sure that when you're putting those eyes in, you're kind of drawing them in circular. Same thing with the nose. Don't assume that any single line is going to have this figure drawn for you. You really want to do this over sort of a period of time. So now the difference between doing a big gesture drawing and a big figure drawing of the whole body and drawing the face is you kind of have to slow down with some of the details. But even in this sort of pace that I'm keeping right now, you can still tell I'm moving reasonably quick. So we're getting that sort of underside of his chin down and then connecting this. So you notice how the one thing I think everybody has a tendency to struggle with is getting caught on that outside contour line. So again, just to remind everybody, contour is just this line that wraps around the outside of the body, or essentially any sort of linear straight line. So really all I'm doing is, and you can kind of see as I'm building this neck in, I'm going back and forth across, kind of making sure that one side is connecting to the other. And then you notice here I'm starting to fill out the back of that head. Now the eyes are always going to be the part that you slow down on a little bit because there's a lot happening on those eyes. So same thing. I'm about 2 minutes into this drawing right now, so I'm making pretty good time. This is digital, but like same thing holds for your sketchbook. Like you kind of want to be moving at a reasonably brisk pace, and then by the time you start to hit that 3.5 minute mark, that's when you really are going to want to start refining some of your lines. So now that I have about 2 minutes left, I've been drawing about 3 minutes. This is where I'm going to start kind of going in and just firming up some of the lines that I've put in so far. Now obviously I'm doing this digital and online, so it's going to be slightly different than you guys using your actual sketchbook materials, but the actual application is more or less exactly the same. So here you can see I'm taking some time and I'm just building those interior lines of the ear. I'll just zoom in a little bit for you on that. Building in those interior lines on the ear. Not getting anything too... Oh, it says my internet connection is unstable, so in case you guys lose me. I'm not getting anything too specific, but you can still see that I'm getting a pretty decent rendition of this fellow, and I'll just give that shirt a little bit of definition. Pop those shoulders in really quick. They're not really terribly important. And then I've got about a minute left, so I'm just gonna start darkening in part of his hair just to give it a little bit more sense of refinement. Find some of those variations in the color here. Try to find some of those little strands of hair. And I've got about 30 seconds left. So really I'm not looking for anything specific. I'm just trying to get that overall feel of him, and I think that hair could probably be a little bit more wild, a little bit thicker, and then darken in just under the chin ever so slightly. And then that's about a 5 minute That's about a 5-minute figure drawing, focusing specifically on the head. So again, notice where I started. I started with, you know, very, very grand shapes, like a very big lines, just to start that overall, the overall shape of the figure's head. And then I kind of slowly started to work in a little bit more. Again, think of the roundness of the eyes. Think about how things, think about how things were connecting. Like these lines on a finished drawing won't appear. But they're really important in that sketching part where I'm trying to connect, where I'm trying to connect this side to this side. So just getting an overall sense of that volume of what's happening to the figure. And you can even see that in sort of some of these lines that I built in for the face. Like this line right here would not appear in a final drawing if I were to finish this. But in this sketch, they're very important because it gets me to this this more finished version of our character.